Push, 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 push. Oh, what a waste of time and effort. Originally, even I thought this would be a good idea. But clearly, Anya decided they want to smother that thing in its cradle by doing whatever the heck they want and not what's the best for the mode. Unless, of course, there's an army of people somewhere in 4th godforsaken dimension that lobbied for the map whose the most visible issue was being too dark to be made even more fucking dark. Then we can perhaps blame it on following the feedback. You know Battle of Kylo? Then you know that night map can be done without making it look like what you'd see if you shove your head into a bucket of charcoal and look around. But that complaint isn't even orbiting anything important, in comparison to problems that were never addressed, or additions to the map that were done so lazily they're either completely insignificant or straight up make the mode worse. Pretty much all the new geometry on the map only serves the purpose of making it look more cluttered, where it was already cluttered. And strategic importance of entire parts of the map, including entire blocks of those new geometry, is completely sidelined, because before you get into an advantageous position, point has already moved to somewhere else, and you just wasted your time. This is a fast-paced game mode, or at least it's supposed to be a fast-paced game mode. Therefore, it should be logical that access points to high grounds and other geometry should allow for getting into said high ground position in less time than it takes to lose the entire match. And yet it somehow eludes our great map makers. At least they moved the path of the point travel off of the dastardly ramp, which made it tumble back and forward like a headless chicken in a washing machine. And to combat defensive stacking, they made sword objective grant permanent stacking damage bonus. Great job, ArenaNet. By the way, percentage damage reductions reduced the damage too, making the full buff benefit bunkers more than it benefits anything else. As per this most recent beta, the victory is usually decided by who has less dignity and shows up with the biggest amount of tanky gargle fucks to throw on the point, or who's currently 5-stacking against randoms. Defense bloat in Guild Wars 2, especially with current fun and engaging Scourge meta, is probably a main reason to why God has forsaken us, and push by forcing everyone to clump together within boonshare range of each other only is making everything worse. The whole mode is a steroid-ridden version of starting mid-fight in Conquest, but with all the redeeming qualities completely removed. You cannot play the first engagement slow, because the point is going to fuck off towards the sunset within 3 microseconds from the game starting. You can't flank from the start, because for starters, there is no flanking routes on this map that don't require you to go to Narnia and back for the same kind of advantage Hamster has over its natural environment, only to find out entire team is now charging down your only flank route, because that's where the point goes, and now you're fucked. And if you lose the first fight but keep your life, you can't rat around for advantageous position, nor try to pick off stragglers, nor even pull attention away from the mid by decapping home node, so your team has better chances of taking mid off of respawn, because none of the side objectives is important enough for a team to even bother turning away from mid. And those bloody objectives are not even up most of the time, and are all designed to be picked up off of respawn. Combination of middle objective moving too fast, being too small to contest against AoE spammers, choke points on every corner, including an actual honest to hipsters corridors, and general lack of flank routes, verticality, and to be frank, anything worth attending besides the main wincon, makes everyone just brainlessly clump together like a bunch of dumbfuck morons and clash with the other team, just swinging at the air hoping something hit. Because that's the only way of playing this mode without a team of coordinated, trained veterans on voice comms. And here's the funny part. This is supposed to be a mode where people learn PvP. For a newcomer to learn things, the game should be slowed down, not sped up. For a newcomer to learn things easier, things should be made easy to see, isolate and understand, not haphazardly mashed together into one disastrous clusterfuck where everything molds into one giant mess of fartillion overlapping domes and circles, and it becomes impossible without hundreds of hours of experience to even recognize which circle does what and who it belongs to. Moreover, pick builds are pretty much worthless in push, because you rarely ever can pick somebody to begin with, as everyone clamps together, and they are almost guaranteed to be supported. So it's harder to pick them off in the first place, and you risk much more by going for the pick than you can potentially gain. On top of which, with wave respawns active, by starting a fight with a pick, only thing you do is make rest of the enemy team respawn faster. This is not only disincentivizing an entire field of play, but actively punishes finding peaks, aka good gameplay, while rewarding and encouraging low effort, shitty and unfun bunker gameplay. This mode is a learning experience in the same way a lobotomy is a change of mind, and everyone trying to learn the lures from it will be too preoccupied asking the question of what the fuck is going on over and over and over again until the mid-season ends, they queue into Conquest and realize that the only thing they learned is how to clamp together and bunker. It takes a coordinated effort of two teams of experienced players to make this mode not devolve into complete and utter mess, nor end up completely one-sided. Which are two greatest factors by which we can gauge the success of an introductory mode. Currently, push requires infinitely more coordination to control, more experience to understand, and more mental fortitude to not rage quit out of than Conquest does. And because of that, only people who can have fun solo queuing into push are the intellectuals who dedicated their entire life to delicate art of playing the most skill-adverse AoE vomit imaginable, and support mains, who simply get guilty amounts of pleasure from picking up the trial and error method equivalent in form of a person up off the ground 16 times in a span of 10 seconds. And the mode where nothing happens but one giant brain slapfest is perfect for both of those. For anyone wanting to learn, to get good, or to have monochrome of fun solo, or to see some semblance of build diversity, this mode is just straight up worse than Conquest. Worse than Stronghold even. And that thing is dead for a reason. You could just remove all side objectives from Legacy of Fallfire and make people 5v5 for control of Graveyard until one team gets like 300 points, and you'd get better mode with better map than whatever the fuck this is, with like 10th of effort required. Holy hell. After what I've seen, I'm convinced the old snow map was better than what we currently have, just because it wasn't the one massive choke point to make everyone clamp together even harder. And peak playstyles at least could function because you could target and ambush enemies' backline. Because back then, backline fucking existed. And the great idea of letting the most AoE spam bunker biased mode coincide with the meta where AoE vomit bunkers are too strong even in Conquest is just a recipe for disaster. Why did we allow this to happen? I used to have some kind of hope for push, and up until now I've seen the reasons to cope as well. However, with the changes between the previous push beta and the recent one being lazily implemented or downright ignorant, while majority of problems were either not addressed at all or became worse, I don't see the future in which Arena manages to make this mode exist next to Conquest and be more than just slop for life forms so skilled they successfully fail a skill check even as minuscule as tap targeting nearest enemy. Almost as if people behind the wheel had less genuine game design experience than I do, and that's a bar so low it only rivals my self-esteem. Anyway, to somehow summarize this rant, we're moving this ship in the direction so wrong it's almost as if Titanic tried to dodge the iceberg by going underneath it, which it technically did. Yes, we're fatigued with conquest. Yes, we want something else than conquest. But no, we shouldn't make a direct downgrade to conquest. As usual, a big sign of gratitude to all the generous supporters, continuously considering my dubious quality content worth their money. You're all truly welcome. Crabface out.